Hi everyone, it's me, Thomas Lockwood, making video YouTube number 6. This week is multicolored. First thing, this is an intro Movie Maker makes. So I won't be doing this anymore. I've got one of my mates making me one for an intro. So watch this space. There's going to be an intro, which is maybe quite fun. So say goodbye to this cinematic thing. Second thing, I get into multicolored. Just to like to point out, there is no colorless commander out there that isn't strange. All of them actually have a real big purpose. So this is going to be my last video where the title is going to be about strange commanders. I'm still going to be talking about strange ideas and strange concepts, what we have in Commander. It just won't be as much into the commanders as I have normally done. Which puts me to point number 3. Point number 3 is, I have been telling you week after week after week what next. Now, this is fun, but to me, it's a bit tedious and boring for me to say. So what I'm going to do is have 3 at least images or words or text that randomly pop up, and you will have to put all them 3 images together and try to work out what my next one will going to be. Unless I say so, each video from now on will have this situation. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. First one I'll be looking at is Gabriella Angelfire. Now, it has got an ability that says during your upkeep, it gains one of the abilities, either Flying, First Strike, Trample, or Rampage 3, and it gains that ability until your next upkeep. Now, that would be okay if it wasn't on a 7 mana dork that only has 4/4 as its power and toughness. Really? Rampage 3 was the one I saw most used with it, even though it's an angel. It never really flew. So what it was, it got Rampage 3 plus got Trample from a different effect, and also got a lure effect, which, if anyone doesn't know what I mean by lure effect, I mean every creature must block it if able, which was awesome because he attacked and he made it a 62/62. That's pretty good for a 7 mana dude. It was for fun. I couldn't see a reason why running it myself. Next one I'll be looking at is Rocker. If that was said wrong, I'm so sorry. This card's so old, and my speech text thing wouldn't work on it, so I had to go for the best I had to pronounce it. Now, it's a 6 mana dork from the olden days of Legend. It gives all your creatures named Kobo of the Heap. If I said that wrong, sorry again. Not the greatest. Gain +2/+2. Now, if people don't know, it's a 0/1 creature from, I don't think from the same set, but from a set, and it was 0 mana. It was a 0 mana dork, red dork. That's it. 0/1, which makes these all now 2/3s, which isn't bad. But there was a slight catch with this commander. At your upkeep, if you did not pay red, this creature, plus all other keepers called Kobo of the Keep, was given to target, becomes tapped under opponent's control. That doesn't mean your creatures as well as your opponents. It means all creatures that are named Kobo of the Keep and him goes to target opponent. You have to target them, so it's actually quite funny in that sense, because if everyone has hexproof, then you actually got to keep it, I think. Anyway, things that I saw working with this is there's a land in Time Shifted, I think, or Time Spiral. It's one that begins with time, because I know it's got a hourglass. So yeah, it has the ability to tap, add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool, or 1 and red, tap, put a token named that Kobo of the Keep, which is brilliant. It's a 0/1 dude, as others was. This allowed that commander to make loads and loads of copies, because you can only have 1 Kobo of the Keep in your deck. So that wasn't too bad. Another thing I'm looking now into more of the commanders, of the pump dudes for this as well. And what made me laugh was I noticed there's a cobalt drill sergeant, which gives all your cobots plus 0+1, which is fine. And trample. That's what confused me. You're pumping my toughness, mate, but you're giving me trample. What? And like you got the other the other ones out there, which is Cobalt Taskmaster, which ironically is the second Cobalt that's only legal in Modern, because this one is time shifted. That's it, time shifted. Because it's time shifted, you allowed it in Modern. I got around this lovely loop, allowing you to play old cards in Modern. This one gives all your other Cobots +1/+0, which is actually okay if you're gonna give them trample. Another one out there gives them first strike, counting itself technically because it has first strike, and then it says all other Cobots gain first strike. So weighing up their strangeness there. And you've also got the Artifact Lord, the one from M12, the one that could be any creature type you want. It's very good. If any tribal deck runs it, it should be running a tribal deck because it is that strong. Next one I'll be looking at is Lord of Tessiahorn. He's a 10/4 for 4 mana with regenerate for 1 black. That is awesome. I love that. He is a very overpriced card. The only thing is he's not got trample, but you can give him trample. But he also has another downside. When he enters the battlefield, you lose 2 life, meaning if you're on 1 or 0 or 2, you can go down to 0 or minus numbers by his enter a battlefield trigger. You sacrifice 2 creatures. If you've got 1 or less, you have sacrificed him, unless he's not on the field at the time, then he's okay. And target opponent draws 2 cards. Now, looking it up, there is nothing that states if your opponent has Shroud or Hexproof, all your opponents have that the effect can't trigger, so I'm assuming it fizzles. So, I'm assumption, I can't find out anything about it. Now, the only thing I did find out about this card, there is only one card that goes with it, and it's Torture Orb. Now, Torture Orb ruins a lot of creatures. Some help by this, in fact. Torture Orb is also what's used with Phase the Untouchable, but personally to me, Phase the Untouchable, I've never seen it as a commander, so I've never done it. But pretty much it says, entering the battlefield triggers on creatures do not activate. So, pretty much your creature just enters the battlefield and goes, my effect is countered. Not effect is countered. Your effect is ignored as such. So he just comes in. He's a 10/4. You have a 10/4 now. But yeah, that's all I found out about him. It's a shame because he does look pretty cool. Next one I'll be looking at is Angus. Angus is a 3 mana dork, which is white, blue, and green, which has the ability blue, white, green, tap, prevent all combat damage dealt this turn. That is very strong, but it's also fog. It's continuous fog, which means you're never going to take damage when you want to not take damage. You can untap him with other abilities. I don't want to get into that because this video is getting very long. But the point is with him, he's a 2/2 for 3. Not the greatest, but you can still have fun with him. 5-coloured commander I've chosen is a Togatog. Now this one is an Atog creature, which is actually quite funny. You sacrifice an Atog to him to give him plus X when X is that sacrifice creature's power. There's a lot of Togs out there. The ones that are not changelings all have a special ability to allow them to get pumped by another effect. But it depends on the colour and the card itself, actually. The blues normally make you discard a card from your hand to give him +1/+1. Black makes you exile 2 cards from your graveyard to give him +1/+1. Red makes you sacrifice an artifact to give him +1/+1. Green is sacrifice a land to give him +1/+1 until the end turn. And the white one just happens to be sacrifice an enchantment, like a mirror reflection of red. Now, there is some that bend the rule. For example, a mono green one called a Frogatog. I love how they make all these names. Anyway, Frogatog is 3 mana, green, and sacrifice a forest. You have to sacrifice a forest, not just any land, like normal green, to give him +2/+2, which is a better pump than +1/+1. Another one that breaks the rules, sort of, is Metatog. Now, Metatog was a mirrored inbuilt thing, which when you sacrifice an artifact to him, he gains +3/+3 and trample. The only creature that gains an ability from sacrificing a permanent in a Tog world. Most of the Togs will only gain power, but this one gained power and trample. So it was very strong in that sense. The last one, which if anyone knows Stasis Lock would understand this, Chronotog. This one allows you to skip your turn to make +3/+3 until the end of turn. You can only use it once per turn, sadly, which is fair enough, but he's still making you skip your next turn to give him a power boost. So it's a final ditch, but in Status Lock, it was silly. Things to work with this is things to make your opponent sacrifice. When you sacrifice, you got Grave Pact, which I'm not showing, but the one I am going to show is Master's Bonds. Now, Master Bonds, whenever it or another non-land permanent goes to the graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent must sacrifice a card type. So you can make them sacrifice artifacts, enchantments, by using the abilities of a Togs. I thought this was very nice, very cool, and it's also quite a good white staple. Another thing I would advise is a way to return these sacrifice permanents. Maybe not to your hand, but return them some way. So what I would have chosen, either Tamio's Emblem, which I'm not going to say because it's really hard to get off in the EDH. I should know, I run one, and an enchantment called Wheel of Sun and Moon. Green/white, green/white. You enchant a player with it. If a card would be put into an enchanted player's graveyard from anywhere, instead that card is revealed and put to the bottom of that owner's library. Meaning, every card you sacrifice goes to the bottom library. Woo! You can do some nice combo there. Yeah, so a Tog to me is one of the funniest commanders out there. Legendary creature types out there, I mean. Others are allies and stuff like that, but maybe someday I might say about those, but not today. Thank you for everyone watching. First thing, I used every colour 3 times in my YouTube video to make sure each colour had a fair choice to see in sight in this YouTube video. Second thing, you might notice I didn't use Rampage. I didn't explain how Rampage worked. I'll be explaining about that next week, because next week I'll also be having a creature with Rampage, and it will also be a better one to talk about with Rampage. And the third and final thing I want to say is see you next week.